All right, it's another Thursday, time for another mini coaching session with a real small business owner like you. We look over their website and look for possible improvements, and some of these are very likely to apply to your own website, so you want to pay attention. In this episode, we talk about what to do if your business is a fairly new idea, how to educate your customers about that, clarifying what you do through images and video testimonials, plus a whole lot more, so stick around. If you want to transform your website into a customer or lead generation machine, I'll show you all my best tips, tactics, and secrets to get there fast. Let's dive in. All right, I'm here with Brad Bigford from Mobile Urgent Care. How's it going, Brad?
I'm doing great. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Thanks for coming on the show with us today. Why don't we start off by just telling me and telling everybody what it is you do and who you help?
Sure. So I run and own a mobile urgent care in the Boise, Idaho area. So I see people for anything that they would go into a walk-in clinic for. So I essentially make house calls. So things like strep throats, UTIs, lacerations, rashes, those kind of things. Okay. And I see people of all age groups, and I do it in their home or office.
Okay. And what is the biggest problem that I can help you out with today?
So I struggle in terms of seeing people or getting like bookings in people in different cities. So my office, where I don't see people at, but that's where it's listed for Google, is in a smaller city called Meridian, Idaho. And I want to grow into the bigger city of Boise. I have it listed in the Google My Business as a serviceable business, but in like Google Maps, when people search for me, it comes up in Meridian, and they always think that I have an office there, or I just don't show up in the Boise area at all. So I've tried to do some things on my website in terms of readjusting like the wording so that Boise comes up more often, but I haven't really noticed a change.
Okay. Now, have you done the keyword research to know, because it's kind of a unique thing that I don't know, are people aware of this kind of a service?
So it's getting more popular, and I try to compete with just the urgent care, clinics in town. That's my biggest competitor. But that's another thing that I struggle with, is just getting the word out in terms of house calls or mobile urgent care. So I try to rank for urgent care services like in Yelp, but I'm going against some big hospitals.
Sure. So I guess that really begs the question, like, are people even typing in the right things into Google?
So that's probably one of my biggest struggles. And like in Google My Business, it's listed as urgent care, not mobile urgent care. Okay. Or walk-in clinic is another sub phrase that I use in Google My Business, just so I can capture some of those searches. But yeah, that's probably a huge thing that I struggle with, is just just awareness of the type of service.
Yeah, and it's knowing what language they're speaking and what they're actually typing in. Because, a lot of times with our own businesses, we have the words, because we're experts, we have the words to know what our business is called and, what type of business it is. Doesn't mean that your customers or patients in your case are going to type in the right phrases into Google. So you have to meet them halfway what they're actually typing in. So yeah, and I think that if people are typing in walk-in clinic, you should absolutely be able to show up, hit them up with, hey, but we're not walk-in, we come to you. That's even better. It's hard to ever get seen in Google Maps outside of the city where you're in. So if you're in Meridian, how far away is that from Boise?
Oh, it's about a 10-minute drive, just 3 or 4 miles, but
not far, but
yeah, it's not far, but the main population is in Boise.
Proximity is the number one biggest factor that they look at. So if there's an urgent care, or is that what we're calling this, urgent care?
Yeah.
Okay. If there's an urgent care closer to them, that's going to show up first in most cases, all other things being equal. So it's hard to rank outside of a city, but I've recently learned about a thing called Google Map ads, or like local extension ads. So you can actually pay to get into those listings. You won't always show up there. It's a little bit of you're at Google's mercy there, a little bit, unfortunately, of when and where you'll show up. but you can run a Google ad and click a box. Basically you're checking, it's called a location extension, and that will enable that ad to show up in the map listings.
Interesting.
Yeah. So I would definitely start by looking at that, because I've done a lot of kind of unofficial research on this on my end, just around here. I looked up a few different things. One was car dealerships, and I saw the one was at the top was an ad, and that was a car dealership pretty far away. It was like 20 miles away, and it showed up top because they paid to be there.
Yeah, and that's, I run Google, AdWords Express ads, but
Okay.
I've never seen the option, maybe that's in a different area, to do the Google Maps ads.
Yeah, look that up. It's called location extension.
Got it.
Yeah, it's basically just checking a box saying, yes, I want to be eligible to be in the maps as well. So that's a good first step for you.
Okay.
Anything else you wanted to talk about before we just go into your website?
I think one other thing in terms of just specifics is, how do I target a specific type of population on my website? What I mean is, like, my core business model is, like, my core demographic is moms with kids.
Mm-hmm.
How do I better focus my website and aim it towards them?
Are you talking traffic wise, or are you talking what you put on your website to be persuasive to them?
I'm talking traffic wise. Like, how do I generate more
get that traffic?
Exactly. That's
Okay.
core demographic.
So right now you're just doing Google Ads Express, correct?
Correct.
Express ads. So that is based on search. So if someone's typing in urgent care, you pop up. If you want to just kind of place yourself in front of moms who may want to, file you away for later, the way to do that would be something like Facebook ads. And you can target with pinpoint accuracy on Facebook ads. And I think that'd be a great place to start for you, because this is the kind of thing that's just a nice to know. And, hopefully they don't need you, right? But when they do, they'll remember, oh, there's a mobile urgent care. So I think what you want to do is, and having them see that ad just once isn't really going to do it. So what I think you really need is some kind of a lead magnet, some kind of a way to get people's email addresses so that you can stay in front of them over time. Because let's say you do a Facebook ad and a mom sees it, thinks, what a great idea. The chances of her remembering you from that 6 months from now when she needs you, she's probably not going to. But if she opted in for something that she really wanted, some information she could use, and now you have her email address, and then every week you send an email with some kind of helpful content related to their kids' health or something like that. Now you're building that relationship over time. She does need you. Now she's going to remember you. Does that make sense?
Totally. Yep.
Yeah. So I think you need that funnel in place. So you have to create a lead magnet, and that has to be, something with an irresistible title, has to be relevant to them, and it has to be actionable. So start brainstorming what kind of problem you can solve, what kind of question you can answer that mom with kids would really want to know.
Okay. Yep.
Yeah.
So different kind of, signs or, treatments for different kinds of illnesses are just the things that come to mind right off the bat.
Yeah. Something that they can use in good health or bad, because chances are when they're seeing this, no one's sick at that point. So it might be something like the warning signs, or these are the top 5 things you can do to, stay healthy, or something along those lines that they would want to know at all times. But do you want to get into the website at this point?
Yeah, let's do it. Yeah,
okay.
Let's do it.
This keeps coming up in all of these that I've been doing. The hero section, this big hero section up here, is always a little bit problematic. What you need to do here is not just say you're a mobile urgent care. You need to give a really clear benefit of why that matters.
Okay.
Because right now it's like, we're a mobile urgent care unit. Cool.
Got it.
They need to know, they need to know why that's such a great thing. So spell it out for them. Say so. And then you're doing this right. You got the book now button. That's awesome.
Yep.
And I would definitely rethink these images. I definitely never like to see just kind of a landscape or a skyline kind of thing. And this, it's better, but it's not quite selling that happy feeling that you're bringing to the equation. You know,
Would you would you suggest like an image where it's like made during a house call, or would it just be better to have it very simple and not busy in terms of the background, so it's not distracting? Or
yeah, I think if it's you during a house call, that's good, but the emphasis should be on the patient and you're just kind of there too.
got it.
Or it's just the patient. And she's, you know, because what's the real pain you're solving? The real thing you're solving is not, urgent care, right? Because they could go to
Right.
the ER or they could go to urgent care for that. What you're solving is it's a time issue. It's a
The things that people always tell me is they get to skip a waiting room where other people are sick.
skip a
You know,
waiting room, skip the waiting room. That is
Yep.
your headline right there.
Okay.
That's perfect. Skip the waiting room, and then you've got someone who's like, you're helping someone in their home and they're smiling and they're happy to not be in the waiting room, right?
Sure.
One
Okay.
thing we can check off the list.
Okay.
Nice. Okay, so going down, so you've got this big red section here, which I understand the need for that, but it takes people out of the flow. So what I would really recommend you do, unless this is like in your industry, it's like heavily regulated that this has to be there. What I would do up here is skip the waiting room and then say underneath it a subheadline, non-emergency care, something that really makes it known by the picture, someone smiling, and then non-emergency care. You're really making it clear that this is not, if you have a heart attack, this is not, for you.
Right. Yeah, I
You
have
know,
that in there because I get so many calls that people think I'm like the replacement for an ER
yeah,
or
well, I
like
would
an
think
ambulance
that
service.
based on this, I would think that too.
Yeah.
Just
So
based on that.
yeah,
Yeah.
so I have that little subheading down there, that little red flag, just to weed out the people that are thinking they're going to call me to make sure they're not having a heart attack.
Yeah. No, and I appreciate that. It's good to kind of say who you're
It,
for and who you're not for. But the only problem with this is I think it takes people out of what you're trying to do and what you're trying to
right.
sell. So if
What
you can take care of that with the headline, you'll be in a much better spot. And into services here. So what I would rather see right up top here are, benefits. The top three benefits of what you do. And then beneath that, you can list out the services, I think, because people need to kind of first know why this, why not just go to the urgent care. No one wants the waiting room, but they also might not want to spend the extra money to have you come. So you really there's a little bit of salesmanship to do to let people know why they would want this.
Okay.
Right? So figure out your top three benefits, which are not features. The feature is we come to you, but the benefit of that is no waiting room. Okay,
I'm just going to take
perfect.
some formatting of that area to kind of get rid of a lot of the things that are in there, but it's going to be more of just a highlight of the improvements or what the difference between us and urgent care is, not the things that I offer per se.
Exactly. This is the kind of service that needs a little bit of education, because
Sure.
people probably aren't too familiar with it. So you need to kind of go into the what and the why. So, and then that's kind of it on the homepage here. And you need more. You need some testimonials from former patients.
Yeah, I
Because
have a
that,
lot of like Google reviews. I think I have probably 80 or 90.
oh, cool.
So, but I just need to, I don't know, what do you think? Maybe put in like a extension that automatically imports that, or
You
just
can't.
have some.
Yeah. So what I generally recommend, I like that. I like seeing that it's called an API. I like seeing the actual pulled in from Google because that there's a lot of trust built into that. But I also like to see, a featured testimonial or two above it where you can
Okay.
show the person's photo, because that always helps sell a testimonial as being much more authentic. And people
Okay.
can see the face and they relate to it. And I really recommend a video testimonial if you can get your hands on one of those.
I think I could probably work on that. That's a
Yeah.
good project to do.
Yeah. And really, have that testimonial tell a story of the problem and then the solution. And then one other thing I wanted to talk about. So I think, so book your visit is a tab up here. And I think this needs to come on the homepage actually a little bit. So what you need to do generally, especially with something like this, that's such a, I don't know how new an idea it is, but it's new to most people. So you definitely want people to know what to expect. So on the homepage, you want to have a section that says, getting started is easy. It's as easy. Step one is always schedule your appointment. You got that one right. And then step two should just be, it shouldn't be all these things. Like they can figure that information out when they schedule the appointment. Once they get to the schedule button, then they'll ask for this. It's step one, schedule. Step two, I show up and take great care of you. Step three, recover in your own home and you never had to leave, kind of thing.
Okay.
Right. So it's not, you're not really giving the real steps. It's mostly, it's the first step is how to get started. The second step is getting the service. The third step is, wasn't that easy? Once they've scheduled, then it should be an automated email sequence that goes out and says, okay, congratulations on scheduling the appointment. Now here's what you have to do. But you don't want to hit them over the head with all the stuff that's waiting for them to fill out before they've even scheduled, right?
Got it. Yeah.
Because that's gonna make it seem more overwhelming than it really is.
Oh, I got one last question. What do you think about using other services like Bing? Because you talk a lot about Google. What about like places for business in Bing or some of those other sites? What's your thoughts?
Yeah, you know what? It's an untapped market. People don't really focus on it, so maybe you do well by being the one that kind of does focus on it. But it doesn't really. The traffic is just not nearly as much. But there's something to be said for being a big fish in a smaller pond, too. So I have heard a lot of people that really focus heavily on Bing because it's kind of the forgotten child, I guess.
Yeah.
So but there are people that do use it. Otherwise, it would be gone completely. I would definitely make sure your Bing business listing is filled out at least, and try running ads and see if they do any better for you.
Okay.
They might.
Well, you've given me some really good tips. I really appreciate it.
All right. Have a good one, Brad. All right, if you're not subscribed to the channel yet, go ahead and click on the circle icon right down here to subscribe. And if you're interested in getting my eyeballs on your website, I do offer a limited number of private Kickstart calls where we can go over your site, talk about any problems you're having, and you can get that by clicking right up here. All right, guys, I'm Wes McDowell for The Deep End, and I'll see you in our next video.